And now, back to Voltron, defender of the universe.
Welcome, Voltron fans. This is Mark Morrell, your host for Let's Voltron, the official Voltron podcast, now for 8 years. It's our 8th anniversary celebration. We brought the VoltCon Force. So say hi to everybody, Greg.
Hello, everybody. Holy moly, what a lot of cool people. I feel like we've seen these folks pretty recently.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. What was that thing you called? VoltCon? Yeah.
So we did this back in October, and it was just before Halloween, and now we're in December. So how did everybody's November go?
Pretty good.
Really good. Very good.
So let's make sure we get introductions underway here. Okay. So joining us once again on your top left, I think, is Tara. Say hi, everybody,
Hi.
Tara.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Hello, top left.
And I don't know if this is the same on everybody else's screen or not, but on the top right, I have Eric.
Hello.
It's like Hollywood
Hi, Eric.
Squares.
Yeah.
Eric.
Yeah.
Hello. How's everybody?
It is like Hollywood Squares. We
It
almost
is.
had it perfectly with Paul Lind right in the middle there.
Yeah.
But right to the bottom left of Greg on my side is Dani. Welcome, Dani.
Aloha kako.
Hello, Danny.
Hello.
And then, of course, we have Greg in the middle.
Howdy.
Greg.
And then to Greg's right, then we have Pete. Say hi, Pete.
Hi, how's it
Hey,
going?
Pete.
Good to be back with you all.
And then coming down to the bottom row, we've got on the left, we have Kyle.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Kyle. And then on the right, we have Shannon. Welcome back, Shannon.
Glad to be back. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Shannon.
Hi.
It's good to see all of you.
So
Likewise.
this is the VoltCon Force. So all of us hung out together at VoltCon and we had a great time. And some of you guys helped out with some panels or some trivia.
Yep.
So Dani and Tara ran the trivia contest. That went pretty well.
Yes.
It did.
Yep.
Especially with Mark's table having won.
Indeed.
Not that I'm still
We do.
thinking about it.
Oh, come on. It's been almost 2 months.
It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. You guys asked
Yes.
some
Yeah.
really, really good questions.
Yeah, Dani really helped out a lot because she came up with some of the doozies, and we hope on having some better ones for next year.
Yeah, I want to lodge a complaint about that too, because somebody keep scheduling a panel with the same time as her trivia.
We talked to Kevin about that, and we told him we want out of the atrium, we want into the big room, and not to put us at the same time as a panel, so we can get more people involved.
Yeah.
That'd be
Definitely.
fun.
Yeah. The first year it was in the main room, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was in the
it
main
was.
room.
Yeah. And the last 2 years, it's just been in the atrium. So
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea to get it back to center stage status.
Yes.
I'd agree.
So yes, the official complaint has been lodged with the head of the convention, and I have told him that I will be taking proper channels and defuncting his Voltron card if he doesn't do our bidding.
Uh-oh.
Mhm.
That sounds serious.
Yeah, you never want to be on Tara's radar, that's for sure.
Oh, not that bad. Come on now. Just because I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. But anyway,
You can borrow this if you want.
sweet, sweet.
We're not talking about slicing limbs here, are we?
Oh,
Just a finger,
no.
No, you know.
Different blazing sword than I usually see on this podcast.
Yes, that's true.
There it is.
Oh, now
There it
Eric's
is.
got a sword.
Wow. That's not a sword. That's a sword.
Yes. Eric's sword beats all of our swords hands down.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Speaking of
let's tend to light up the room.
Speaking of which, I wanted to mention, Eric, you did a lot of stuff for a lot of people at VoltCon.
Yes.
And one of the things that you did was a special shield and sword in honor of Ted Koppler.
Yes.
And you had everybody sign the shield.
Yes, that was, I wanted to do that because it's not anybody's con, it's everybody's con. So having a, when you do that, like, had VoltCon had sent out the message about writing an email, expressing your sorrows or condolences or whatever. I am terrible at things like that. I can never think of the words. I tried to do that 5 or 6 times. So what I like to do is I just like to put how I feel in things I make. So I thought, what better tribute for a guy that brought Voltron to the United States than to make the shield, the crest, and the sword, because the sword, the way it was setting was kind of representing of sticking it in the ground for a fallen soldier. So that seemed the best thing to do.
That was awesome.
It was great.
It reminded me of the episode where we lost Sven.
Yeah. And it was tough up there when Bob was there. We were standing beside each other. It was just like, you looked at each other and, you're trying to, stay manned up and keep it together, but you don't know what to say, but at the same time, you're trying to say something. So we just shook hands and kind of turned around. That was about the end of that.
Yeah.
But that was presented to him right before his panel, where he was doing the 10th anniversary of Voltron Force, and he also had some words that he wanted to say about his dad, which was really nice.
Yeah.
But you not only did that for Bob and for in honor of Ted, but you also made a lot of other things. And one thing I wanted to say thank you for was this special Voltcom.
Let me go grab mine.
Yeah.
Mine has the blue light.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because you got really lucky on yours, Mark. It was because Keith's was technically what I found on Wikipedia is it's supposed to be light blue,
Right.
and all I could find was white because they only had one color of blue. Yeah, Pete's got his, but I got really lucky because that came out instead of white, it came out as a light blue. So it got completely lucky with that. And then
Yeah.
of course, Greg's, I think Greg's probably turned out the most that I like the most with that yellow, because I think it really pops.
The yellow fellow. Yes, thank
Yeah.
you again for that.
So
That's
I
very
wanted
kind of you.
to thank you because that was a huge surprise to both Greg and I.
Oh yeah.
Well, I was thinking what to do for the 10th anniversary of Voltron Force, and I didn't have time to make a multi-stage Voltron and that can do a center switch anytime it wanted to. So I thought, hey, the Voltcoms were pretty good. And Greg even got into it because I sent him a message about asking him if he had any details on a Voltcom, so he actually knew I was making one long before anybody else did. And I thought, well, if it's going to be some fun and the 10th anniversary, and you guys are doing so much good about spreading Voltron's word, why not just make you guys one? And then that's where it came from. And I made 5 others, one for each color, and we auctioned those off for the charity and made a little bit of money on them. So that helped out.
And I was
really
lucky
cool.
enough to get 2 in the auction.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder who won those auction items.
And then Andrew got the yellow one. He saw the yellow one that I made, and he jumped on it. He's like, I don't care how much I have to pay. I'm going to get the yellow one. So I'm not sure who got the other 2.
That was Pete.
Yeah, Pete got 2, but there was
there were 5, right?
Yeah,
in the
there were
auction.
5 total, and I did not see who got the other one or the other 2.
Okay.
But it was she bought the same. She bought 2 because Pete, you got green and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be red and yellow, then, or red and blue. So,
Okay. All right. So what were some of the things that you guys brought back from VoltCon? Do you happen to have any of them with you?
Yeah, I've got hang on, let me second here.
I think one of my favorite things that I got at VoltCon was in the the VIP bags, the Kaltenecker, and I got mine signed by Benjamin Kaltenecker.
That is so sweet. That is so cool.
I've got a Kaltenecker too, and I've got him on the skateboards that Voltron or the Voltron store was giving away. So I just got him sitting on top of that.
Oh
But
yeah.
This was my big one here. I finally got the vehicle.
Oh yes.
I've never had one.
GX88?
Yep. I never had one in my life, so I thought I'm gonna get one. Always had the Lion Force. I've got 4 of those right now, but I never had a Voltron. I've never had a vehicle, so I had to get that. Quite a few shirts, but then tons of pictures and memories.
Yeah,
which
Indeed.
can't put a price on those.
That is true.
came
And
back with the skateboard.
yeah,
Very nice.
nice.
Yeah, I
I
got
was
the
gonna
5 Lions set of the skateboards. Cannot
Yeah.
wait to get those up on the wall.
Cool.
You have so much wall space there, Pete.
I got a bag to put over my head sometimes.
Yeah, that was funny, Pete. You were sitting there looking at those skateboards thinking, man, those are really cool. Maybe I should get 1 or 2. And I turn around, I come back 5 minutes later. Next thing I know, you got 5 in your hand.
Oh,
Wow.
Self-control much.
Well, I figured, we get to have a table of the Voltron store itself. They usually do a discount at VoltCon, and not having to pay shipping on those, I think it was like they only had 1 left of the Black Lion. So I figured, I always thought it was so cool how they looked when they were all together.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put it over a doorway so I can see it when I'm going in and out of the house.
Yeah, they look cool for sure.
I have to say, Tiffany was in a very good mood this year.
Oh, she was.
Oh, yeah.
She really was.
I got a great picture of her holding my sword too. She was everything she could do. It was hilarious.
That sword's heavy.
Yeah, it's got a little girth to it.
I know it's funny with it being an election year and everything. My election day photo was me holding the blazing sword you made, then with just my campaign logo under it. So
Vote for me or else. I did have one actually really good thing that happened after VoltCon.
What's that?
Jeremy Correa saw the Voltcoms that I made, and he really, really liked them. He actually asked me if I got the plans for them or not, and I said no. I just had to do it off of pictures, and that was it. So he really liked them, and Bob loved them too. I got to talk to him about it. He really enjoyed those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
They've got to have a soft spot for that show since they actually worked on it.
Yeah, I was gonna
exactly.
say.
Cool.
Yeah, and since they were really working towards getting Voltcoms out as a toy at the time,
Yep.
and it just never happened.
Yeah, it was always great for me because I was really nervous the first time I walked in with the Voltron, and I'm walking into a convention where this is what everybody everybody knows every detail of this thing. And when I first walked in, I was terrified of it because I'm going to get picked apart here. There's going to be, this is off or this is off. And I was so happy with how everybody, loved it and welcomed it. It just made me feel really good. And it's always really nice that even when you see the president of the company sees it and appreciates it, and just as one regular guy, he comes up and talks to you like no problem. That always means a lot to you too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Bob's
I
good.
can remember when you first walked in at the first VoltCon, and I think all our jaws just dropped, and I started like snapping pictures. I thought like Mark Oliver's was the most amazing thing, and then yours comes in, and then when we found out that it actually you could take it apart and it could become the Lions.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Everybody was like, they'll see like, wow, it's Voltron, and then you're like, yeah, it comes apart. What? It comes apart. Like, yeah, it does that. So that gives you a little extra little extra bonus points on it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing do you guys remember Voltron Girl? One of the
Yes.
the tiny girl that had
Mhm.
really great, costume for Voltron.
Whatever happened to her?
She probably grew up.
Yeah,
Probably
Well,
doesn't
obviously.
fit in.
I'm pretty sure that's just a memento right now.
Yeah. That was actually what I was comparing mine against. It was like, man, this is some big shoes to fill just right here.
Right.
So, to even be, even come close to anything like that, I'm blown away with how
And,
everybody likes it.
and what was really cool about Voltron Force is they actually had a small snippet of Voltron Girl in Drayden Baby Drayden.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It was
Yeah,
really
that's fun.
cool.
yeah. I mean, you get immortalized in cartoon now. What else can you ask for?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know if it wasn't for this podcast, I would have never found out about Voltron Force, because I had been watching the new Netflix one, and then it was only through listening to this podcast that I went back and learned about that. And then I had to, order it. I think I had it shipped from Australia to get the DVDs.
Oh, wow.
Australia.
I do remember when it came out. I'd seen a few episodes. I didn't
Yeah.
get to watch them all because it seemed like it was released sporadically, never at the same time. So I could never pin down when it was watching. But
It might be on iTunes still. I don't know if you can find it there. That's where I had
Yeah,
it's gotten
it's
mine.
no longer it's no longer on
No.
iTunes, because
Is it?
I purchased the seasons 1 through 3 kind of
Mhm.
for Voltron Force, and when I went to try and download season 2, it was inaccessible, even though I have a purchase for it.
Check.
So-
Do you have an iPhone?
Yeah, I have an
Check.
iPad and everything, and I've
Okay.
checked. So
Even on-
yeah, it's
well,
no longer offered. Even if you
look-
purchased it, you no longer have access
Look,
to it.
look in the Apple TV app. That's where I ended up finding mine.
Yeah, I've already checked. It's no
Really?
longer there. Like, I
Huh.
have no access to it.
Wow.
And plus, the Apple account that I had purchased it no longer
Uh-huh.
exists.
Oh, that's probably why.
literally deleted my profile.
Wow.
So I'm kind of mad because I no longer
Oh.
have access to what I purchased. So, that's the money
Physical
I spent with
media,
Apple.
baby.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that's what I want. So and one of many reasons why I don't like Apple.
Well, maybe we got to keep pushing Bob, and they'll re-release it.
I
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
please. I want Voltron 3D first, because that's something that I've been waiting for almost now 20 years.
Yeah.
So can we get Voltron Third Dimension? I have it on VCD, for crying out loud. I would like a higher quality
Right.
version.
Yeah.
To have as my collection, as part of my collection.
Yeah.
And then maybe the last 2 seasons of VLD wouldn't be bad either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
let's just binge release everything Voltron. And then,
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And we need more Sven
the-
Lives t-shirts.
yes.
We need what we need to do is convince them, the powers that be, to do what they did for Power Rangers, was release of like a Voltron head with all the DVDs in it of everything from Blind Force to Vehicle Force to second season, with Fleet of Doom, and then Voltron 3D, Voltron Force, and VLD all in one collection.
Yeah, I've been wanting an omnibus like that
something
for a
like that.
very, very long time. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would totally drop money on something like that if it comes in like a Voltron head or in a lion or something. That'd be so cool.
Maybe Eric could design a sword that holds all of them.
Ooh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. Yeah, like
Yeah,
a sword
when you
case or
fling it, it
something.
shoots the DVDs out.
Well, we're
But
talking
yeah,
about
something like how Power Rangers did it.
we're talking about robots that would deliver the DVD to your player and start playing it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, you could lion head attack and take care of 4 of them at one time.
Yeah.
And
There you go.
you can use Alexa as voice control to say, Alexa, tell the robot to get me the so-and-so DVD for Voltron.
Huh.
There you
Yeah.
go. And then you'll
I know
hear,
it's been nice
sorry,
with
I
World
can't
Events
do that.
production. With World Events production, putting more and more of the videos on YouTube through their own channel has been nice too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
catching up and rewatching the episodes on their YouTube channel.
And you guys have seen Voltron.com, right? So
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Yes.
the new design now, after you get done scrolling down, you can
Yes.
swipe. You can swipe from left to right and go through all the different versions of Voltron, and
Yeah.
then find some of the, at least a sampling of the episodes from each one.
That's cool.
Yep.
It's really well done.
So let's see. I'm seeing here among, we had Tara and Danny doing the trivia contest, Eric
Yes.
works, and of course, conducting some panels. And Shannon helped Mark and me with a couple panels. How was that experience, Shannon?
That experience for me was absolutely amazing. I had not gotten up in front of any audiences for over 2 years before I came out and saw you folks. And what those of you here with me that we were all at VoltCon don't know is that when Dark Blue was originally recorded, I wasn't going. So things came together at, shall we say, the last minute. And I had to tell Mark at the 11th hour, Mark, I need you to do some editing. You know that whole discussion about me not making VoltCon for a third year? I need you to cut it out because I'm going. And so as that conversation progressed, that's how I got invited as the guest not in the program on your panels. And I thank you for going that extra mile for me. I can't, there are not words.
Yeah, we had to make a trade, and there was some cash involved, but you were the player to be named later.
Yes.
But to meet everybody, that was the best part. I know you asked me about the panels, but to get to know that I've seen groups of people, like I've met Danny before at WonderCon, just a few people here, a few people there, but to see everybody with the same passion in the same place. There are not enough thank yous. Or not.
Well, we are so glad you were able to come
Yes.
out and enjoy the
Yes.
con and help us out with the panels that you did. That was great.
And again, I thank you both for doing that. And particularly, I don't know if there's an order you want to take this in, but particularly asking me on the Vehicle Voltron panel, Greg, since that's not the wheelhouse I'm normally known for. It got me to think a lot more about the series. Granted, I had 3 weeks to prep with you, so I had to re-binge and re-examine it too, which was helpful when certain people from the audience, like you, Eric, asked me specific questions. I could be right on top of it. And one thing it hadn't gotten me thinking about was, why was I not as much into it originally? And as I said on the panel, it's because my dad had been in the Navy, had just gotten out after 24 years of service, of which I was alive for the last half of it. And it was kind of like, I don't want more of that. But obviously that wore off by a year because I was totally into Robotech. But of course, by that time, Vehicle Voltron had moved on. So
Yeah.
the whole thing in so many different ways has been a great amount of rediscovery.
Good.
Watching the panels makes me go back and rethink and want to watch some of that stuff over again because I'd forgotten about it, or I can't believe I missed a trivia question on something. So between the panels and the trivia, I've gone back and watched a lot of select episodes.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys, Tara and Danny, for asking all those trivia questions, because now I got to go back and try to up my game for going up against Greg again.
Yes.
Certainly
Great.
made me realize where I was rusty. And there were some areas.
And what was nice about helping Tara with the trivia questions is I got to rewatch a lot of the episodes that I forgot about. I mean, I'm a huge Lion Force fan. I love Lion Force, but I had to familiarize myself with Vehicle Voltron because unfortunately it's not one of my favorite. But after watching it, now that I'm older, I kind of like Vehicle Voltron a lot now because I would say it was more geared for maybe the teenager to adults than it was what Lion Force was. And I started to enjoy what Vehicle Force offered. So I was looking for things in Vehicle Force that would even out the questions, because we tend to be more Lion Force focused because that's the series that got more attention, more fans. And without Vehicle Voltron, we're missing the second half of an amazing series that pretty much got us all into it in the first place. So I wanted to focus on getting a lot of the Vehicle Force questions in there, and I knew Greg was going to be on top of it because he's such a fan. But I did stump him on a lot of stuff, so that's a good thing. But yeah, I think prompts people to go and rewatch these series. I'm glad it did, because that's what I want. I want people to go back and notice these things that I started noticing, and I made questions about, because this is little things that you might have missed when you watched it 20 some odd years ago, or when the last time you guys watched it. And I heard that in some markets you didn't even get Vehicle Voltron Force. You only had Lion Force, and that was the only one that was reran. So if you are able to get a hold of the Vehicle Force episodes, please watch it. It's really, really good. I know it's a hard start in the first couple of episodes because they just jump right into it. But once you get into it, it's a really good series. I would say it would be on par with the drama of what Robotech was, the Macross series.
Yeah. It definitely has its head scratcher moments where like continuity, what? But
yeah.
But I will tell you,
Yeah.
it is less frustrating to watch. So I love Robotech big time, but there are times where even with Macross, it's like, Rick, get a clue, buddy.
Exactly.
and I don't have any of those moments with Vehicle Voltron, so that's a plus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it'd be great to get the new fans into it based on I think there are no spoilers out there at this point for any of the series.
Yeah.
But with the Easter eggs that they included at the end of Legendary Defender, having the what the ruggers that became the feet shown in the background and other things, and I was just so excited when I saw that part. I was hoping that they would do something with it, but even just getting kids into, or young adults into the original Vehicle series, I think would be good at this point. And I think we're starting to see a lot more comments with the GX88 coming out, and I think people are starting to realize that Vehicle Voltron's a really good series. You get a lot of comparisons with Star Trek with it.
Yeah.
Maybe it just had too much continuity or too much of a storyline back in the day. I loved them both, but to me, if you had big robots from, Lion Force, Dirugger, Robotech, I just kept going with it, and I'm so glad that I rediscovered it now in time to, to have made the first VoltCon.
I have to wonder about, if it wasn't named Voltron, like if they would have named the vehicle Voltron something else instead of just saying Voltron, would have had a better fanfare, because the Lion Force was on TV, and that's the first one I remember seeing was Lion Force. And when you go to the vehicle Voltron, it's like all of a sudden the Lion Force is over, and then you go to see the vehicle Voltron, and you're like, wait a minute, this is Voltron? This isn't Voltron. The Lions were Voltron. This is cool, but this isn't Voltron. And then that's when you're 14 or so, and you're just kind of like, wait a minute, that's different. And then you start watching, and you're like, okay, I can get into this. This is all right.
I really almost think it was doomed to fail from the start because of the just like it but totally different nature of the show. I mean, the opening, I think playing that split screen during the presentation when we did with the Lion opener and the vehicle opener showing, look, they're almost the same, and yet look, they're almost totally different. It's weird. It's like Twilight Zone. If all you've watched is one of them, and then you see the intro to the other, it's bizarre.
Well, that's what my thoughts when you guys showed that presentation, the side by side. I was just like, how did they even get away with this? It was like similar but different.
That's like my question would be, if you went up anybody like ordinary Joe in the street that's heard of Voltron, if you say picture Voltron, what would that picture come up as? Would it be the Lions or the vehicles?
The Lions.
Yeah, it would be for me. First one, it's the first one I think of is the Lions.
Yeah, Lion. Yeah. Even in all the pop culture, whenever it's referenced, they always show the Lion version. It's always Lion Force Voltron. I guess it's more iconic, and unfortunately with Vehicle Voltron, it was also competing against Transformers, which is all vehicles, and they were already coming out with their vehicle combination sets, like the Constructicons with their Devastator, Combaticons, so it's like, oh, it's just vehicles. Who cares? We have Transformers, we have GoBots, we have Robotech. It's nothing new. So it's not Vehicle I mean, even the look of Vehicle Voltron isn't as iconic as the Lion Force Voltron. Because I mean, you have a lion, you have lion mouths, you have lion feet. So yeah. I guess because people are familiar with this one, or in their market, this is the only series they showed was Lion Force. They never saw Vehicle Force. They were never introduced to it. So I can see where a lot of people might not recognize Vehicle Voltron Force. But I'm hoping that with the GX88, the trivia questions, the con itself, they're going to go back and revisit the series and see that it's an actual good series to watch, especially with the Voltron theming.
Well, it's not just the GX88. There's people out there, playing with their 3D printers.
Yes.
What?
And
And they're actually making Vehicle Voltrons.
Oh, it's done. It's done. But So I wasn't able to put it on display as I had back in at VoltCon 2019. The custom panache play style vehicle team Voltron. There was no dedicated spot for it. In 2019, Mark and I had a table in the main room where we could, stand and guard the base. But with our table in the dealer room, I didn't feel comfortable leaving it out there unattended for long stretches of time. But some folks did get a sneak peek at it during the con. So a few people, 3 or 4 of you, I believe, actually got to get a glimpse.
Yeah, I think we're all here right now.
Yes.
I have some pictures of it somewhere on my phone.
Yep, that was fun.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for that.
So if you'd like to catch the whole panel, the Vehicle Voltron panel, we have all 3 of the panels that we did at VoltCon available on our YouTube channel for Let's Voltron. So for the people who are just seeing this for the first time and saying, hey, where can I see those panels? Just go to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, so we did the Voltron voice actors panel.
Yes, Voltron voice actors.
Yeah, the Vehicle Voltron panel that we've been talking about, and then the interview with Benjamin Koltenek.
Yes.
Actually, while you guys are talking about the panels, I think we should talk about how the 3 of us last minute handled the tribute to Jack Angel, because we pretty much had that. You should say the 2 of you had that down to the wire, and I'm texting you as I'm like out at the pharmacy, like, this just came down the line. What are you guys going to do? And that's partially how I got onto this panel. But since I wasn't involved in how the choice was made, how did you guys work on that to make that shift?
Okay. Well, Jack Angel was already part of the Voltron voice actors. He was already part of that. So when we got to his part of the presentation, I just wanted to bring back one of those things that we had done previously when he was on the podcast, and we had made a video, that we had on our YouTube channel for quite a while. But I wanted to say, this is what he was able to do even way later, in life. And he sounded just like he was stepping into the shoes of Zarkon again. It was amazing. And then he did that Honda, Happy Honda Days commercial.
Yeah.
And that was the last time he ever played Zarkon.
Again, I wanted to say that I appreciated the way that you've worked that together at the last minute. And as you pointed out, the panel in its entirety, including what you talked about, is available on YouTube. So if anyone hasn't seen that, you should.
Yep. So
actually go to VoltCon. It'd be a whole lot better too.
Yeah.
Get to experience it all together.
right.
Yes, it's like a concert. It's always best to hear your favorite bands
Yep.
live. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, like the
Especially-
shakeups.
Especially
Oh,
when
yeah.
Greg take the stage, we all get our lighters out, you know.
It's funny watching the panels. My one self-criticism is I need to get up and walk around a little bit, which is difficult to do on a stage where you got tables and three people and two or three people or whatever. But I don't know, some kind of, maybe some Captain Cook moves or something. I don't know, but
I had the most fun with my panel on Sunday, which was unfortunately while Tara and everybody was at the trivia contest. But I got Patrick O'Connor, who's famously with the shakeups and the co-con chair. He actually was working with me in being my stage model for how I put together all my cosplays of the Veritech and the Voltron.
nice.
Enjoyed that.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, he's a classic ham, so it makes it all the more fun to do.
he does.
Of course, and we had so much fun doing it. Of course, he was also dressed up as Karan while he was doing it. So when he did, so he's dressed up as Voltron, and he keeps his face instead of putting the mask on, and we just call him Karantron. So,
That's nice.
yeah, it was a
It's
lot
like
of
his
fun.
dream came true from the show when he was trying to be Red Lion, remember?
Right, exactly. That's what it was. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's just that's how much fun we all have together. It's we kind of almost totally improv that and be like, hey, I was thinking about this for my panel. Would you want to step in and be my model? And he's like, sure. And I said, since we're built so much alike.
Yeah.
And the only thing about that is we're the same height. That's about it. So
And you're both bipeds, right?
yes. I mean, other than that, it was everything I could do to keep that costume on him. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
So what were some of your favorite moments other than panels at VoltCon?
Getting to see everybody that didn't come last year, Gregory, and and Danny,
And Danny.
it was
Yeah.
just good getting to see everybody. It was, we were missing. It felt like you're missing people. It's the only time we get to see everybody, and it was good to see
Yeah.
everybody.
It's that family reunion atmosphere. Of course, it's a family where we all get along. And who knows what that's like, but every year it seems like we get to know each other more and more and more, and we're all more comfortable with it. So it's not as awkward when you go up and shake somebody's hand or give them a hug. It's like you're true friends now.
Yeah.
And even with Facebook, we're all connected and we're all talking to each other, but it's not the same as it is when you get to walk up and just like see Tara and get a big hug where she almost breaks your back. And that's but that's part of the fun. And then you just meet new people that show up like, oh, I've been wanting to go here, this is my first time, and automatically they're part of the family.
Yep.
It's just the intimacy of the whole show and the people and everything in and of itself. It's like you don't have to mess around with the crowd. You don't have to and like you guys mentioned, we get to see each other and hang out and talk and even the guests like Benjamin Kaltenecker and Bob and Caitlin and just Tiffany and just being able to talk to them and hold conversations with. I know some of the other cons where if you do have the opportunity to talk to some of the guests, it's like it might be a few words or a few sentences or a couple of minutes, but I mean, if they've got the time, you can sit there and have whole half-hour long conversations with some of these people, and you get inside information, you get intimate details that you're not going to hear anywhere else.
And didn't you
There's
guys?
going to be a live movie.
Yeah.
And didn't you guys have like a late night conversation with Kaltenecker? I missed it, but didn't he come walking back into the atrium with I don't know, McDonald's or something, sat there talking to you guys?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And what was great is he was also one of his friends, Rocco, was one of the writers on VLD.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
He brought him along, and he was just hanging out in the near the ticket area for a while there.
Yeah, he came down from Chicago.
That's cool.
That was cool.
Yeah,
Well,
we
what
got
I
to
liked
talk
about
like so many inside things that it was just amazing. And like,
Yeah.
you know, with Benjamin Kaltenecker, he shared so much about the work he's done, you know, beyond the panels, but just really talking to us just like, you know, everyday people. And I remember back to the first year of VoltCon, you know, with Franklin Kofod doing the same thing. And I think the atmosphere at VoltCon is like nothing else that I've seen at like conventions because, you know, everyone is just really there for, you know, loving Voltron. And I think the people who were involved in making it just really appreciate the fact that people want to talk to them about it. And you can tell that they loved what they were doing.
And I don't know, Danny, if you remember that first year when me, you, and Mark went with Franklin Kofod actually to that Mexican restaurant we went to.
Yes.
Like it was after the con, and we're literally hanging off every word this man is telling us. It was like, if you would have told 8-year-old me back in 1984 that I'd be sitting at a table talking to the man that was pretty much responsible for our childhood, I would have told you, you know, you're crazy. But I mean,
I know that feeling.
He was like
literally
the sweetest man, and I was so upset he wasn't come this year because I was so looking forward to seeing him. And it was funny because I remember the first year with the trivia contest, my group won it, and I walked over to get his autograph, and he's like, "Apologize to your mother for the corruption of your childhood." I never forget that, and he is just so cool.
Well, he signed the back of my Voltron head, the Black Lion.
Oh, sweet.
And he's like, you really want me to sign this? You know, he's like, isn't that going to like deface the value or like no, I think the value will be just quite intact, no problem. Please just go ahead and sign the back, you know.
And it's almost like we should tell him to start calling this the Voltron family reunion instead of a convention.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's what it is.
Well, that's like the great thing about it too is the fact that, you know, everybody's talking about the conversations that you have. How many conversations can you have at a con with somebody and be able to hear each other?
Exactly.
True.
You know, you don't have that. You have to be like right in their ear and trying to find a place to even talk alone without blocking the ways.
Yeah, you almost have to leave a con, or at least leave the main con areas to have a conversation with people that you see at the con. Like the AntiCon.
For me, it's great because, you know, I come from a little island in the Pacific. You know, I grew up there all my life, and dreaming or even attending like con conventions and comic conventions was very foreign to me. Like the very first convention I ever attended was Anime Expo in its infancy, like 1991, like the beginning of Anime Expo before it wasn't even called Anime Expo. And it was a small con at that time. And then the next convention after that was the first anime convention in Hawaii called KawaiiCon. And that was a small convention, like no more than 1,000 people attended. So it was still intimate. I got to speak firsthand with the voice actors. At that time it was Michael St. Nicholas and Stephanie Shea. And we got along. I got to speak to them about the industry, got to talk to them intimately about everything that they're working on. And you never get that kind of feeling at a big con. Like I could never go to Anime Expo or San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con and get that kind of personal one-on-one with people who work in the industry. It's very rare that you'll be able to unless you schedule an interview appointment or something. You know, like as a fan, there's no way I would be able to do that. But what's nice about like VoltCon and these smaller cons is that you get that opportunity. You can pick people's brains. You can see what they're thinking. You can ask important questions that always was, important to you. Like, you know, industry insiders that you probably would never have gotten if you went to a bigger con, or you would have to wait till IGN or Comic Book Resources reported on it for you. And you'll never get like the true story from them because they're not gonna be as open about it as if you were their personal
right. And they're media hype machines, right? I mean, they're not really interviewing as much as they are hyping whatever projects they're representing. But, you know,
they're not going to ask the questions that you're asking. It's like, okay, how do I get in the industry? You're not going to get that answer from these media sources. But if you were able to ask, Kaltenecker, hey, how do I get in to do what you do? You could get an actual answer from him, and he was really open about providing that information to you. It's like, yeah, this is what you need to do. If you're interested in this, I can point you to some resources. And this is the secret too. That's what we call networking. You need to get these people to know who you are, where you met them, and keep them on a, hey, this is a guy I can contact in the future if I have any questions. And that's how you can get your foot into the industry. And a lot of people don't realize this is the type of places you want to go to. VoltCon might be a small convention, but these are people that are working in the industry you might be interested in. Like if you want to go storytelling, if you want to, these guys work at Netflix, DreamWorks,
Yes.
The Powerhouse Animation. They're all the ones that are behind stuff that you're seeing on TV and streaming and watching every day, or even in the theaters right now. They're the ones that you want to talk to. And this is how you can get your foot in the door. You need to network. And yes, small cons might not sound like, oh, it's not going to be fun, it's too small, or I don't know that person. No, it's your way to get to talk to people intimately and talk to fans that have the same interest as you. This is how you get in.
It was also where Kaltenecker was able to bring in a whole bunch of things from the office that he was able to share with us in a one-on-one type of setting, because I'm pretty sure that if it was a big con, he wouldn't have been able to do that.
Oh,
And he
no.
had all that artwork and all these bags and everything, and sweatshirts and stuff.
I can't help but think when Dani just mentioned about KawaiiCon being about 1,000 people, and she said it's still kind of a small con. I don't know about any of you guys, but if I couldn't help but picture Kevin Clark's face calling 1,000 people being a small con, and he's overwhelmed with what VoltCon is. And if you imagine what his face would be like at 1,000 people, that's funny enough as it is.
I know, and it's funny because the first animation convention, KawaiiCon, they didn't even expect 1,000 people. They were only expecting 100 or 200. That's it, and they got 1,000 in their first year. So that's how. I mean, for us, that's how barren. It's Hawaii. We're like, we got all the anime you wanted to watch on TV, and this stuff that you not only see. Like, we had Dragon Ball, Dr. Slump, all the tokusatsu and sentai shows long before US mainland got it as Power Rangers or seen it on Funimation, or through everything. Like I knew about Dragon Ball like 5 years before everybody on the US mainland got it, because we watched it on TV. It was broadcast on our television because we have such a huge Asian market in Hawaii. The first anime con it's like, oh yeah, you're gonna have a lot of people interested in going, because literally the only convention that would be accessible to anybody who lives in Hawaii is whatever was held in California, and that we only had like 3 major anime conventions in California at the time, which was Anime Expo, Anime LA, and I believe San Diego Comic-Con, when it was still, you don't have to buy and fight for tickets online. You could actually go up and buy tickets while at the convention. But yeah, that's about it. So, intimate cons. If you start small, you'll be able to reach out to people that you might not have known. Like through KawaiiCon, I got to know 2 voice actors very personally. I talk to them often online. So that's how I got interest into following a lot of voice actors online, because it's an interesting job in my opinion, and got to meet producers and also learned how conventions are actually started and run, because I talked to the actual people who started conventions. So it's you got to mosey your way in. You got to find out from these people. They're the experts. Talk to them. They'll share information with you. You just got to be willing to put your neck out and say, hey, I'm interested. What are you guys doing? Oh, hey, what got you started in your industry, or what got you interested in your job? How did you get started? Some of them were accidental, like what's her name that played Nova in Star Blazers? She was accidental casting. She was just a receptionist, and they needed her, and they cast her as Nova.
Oh wow!
I mean, basically how she started, and she's been doing voice acting ever since. So yeah.
Danny, you had me at Hawaii, so I mean, oh, there's a con in Hawaii.
Yeah. Well, now they have two anime conventions, so it grew. Kawaii Con and a new one that started, but that kind of hurt by the COVID thing. So they're supposed to be restarting all those conventions again in Hawaii soon as they get more control over the COVID situation. But yeah, conventions are returning. I believe Anime LA is going to be this weekend, amazingly. So, and SDCC just had their special edition convention this past week. So, and I talked to my friend about that, and he said it feels like San Diego Convention, Comic-Con, before, like probably 10 years before he ever attended. So it was very
Twilight.
intimate.
Yeah.
Yeah, before Twilight and Harry Potter.
I go back that far, but you were talking about convention scale. My very first convention was 25 years ago at San Diego Comic-Con. And I've worked my way down, and it's not been a bad thing.
There you go.
Eric, you're going to have to get yourself invited to some of those as a special guest, have them fly you and the cosplay out.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I'll gladly appear anywhere just fly me out there. I'm good. I was just thinking about that too. I was like, flying to, because California or out in California somewhere, I can't remember where it's at, but they do have a Robotech convention every year, but it's like one day on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't even think about taking that Veritech out there with all the pieces that there are being foam. It'd get smashed all to pieces. But I would love to do that. We're actually going to Colossal Con in June. Amy and I are, and we're going to go with a friend of ours. And so I'm taking everything I've got, the Veritech, the Voltron, even the Spaceballs and everything, anything else I've got. And so I'll probably roast being June. Can't wait to see how hot that thing gets. But
Eric, there's another one that's near me. It's called RetroCon, and Greg has been there, so he can testify to this. You fit in right in at RetroCon.
Yes, okay. And oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on her name.
What?
What's her name? Helps run the con. She and her husband run the con.
It's Rose and Tony.
Yes, Rose. Yes, she has a dark helmet costume, which is really, really awesome.
That would be good.
Getting the two of you together, that would be really cool.
That would be hilarious, because my brother and I are going to OhioCon in February, and he's got his own made Darth Vader costume. So we're gonna do a universal crossover.
You went over my helmet?
Yes. So he's gonna do that, and I'm gonna do the Spaceballs character. So we're just gonna see how many laughs we can get out of it. I told him, I said, I'm actually looking forward to going to a con where I can actually sit down and be comfortable. So
Yeah, that would be a nice change for you, wouldn't it?
Yes, very, very nice. Although I did make Voltron so I could sit down. That was the key. Couldn't do that with a Veritech, but
it's funny you talk about taking Voltron to a bigger con. I remember when Mark first brought out his Voltron a couple years ago, and it was me and Tally, and we literally did not make it down the center aisle of New York Comic Con. I got face palmed by a cop, pushed me out of the way to get the picture with the robot. And I'm looking. I'm like, you take the blonde. He's like, I want the robot. I'm like, okay, at least you got your priorities straight. But it was so funny because people were like, oh my God, it's Volt. But yeah, I mean, it would. But then again, that's when New York was a little bit smaller, and you're not doing a lottery to get tickets there anymore. But it would be fun. It would be interesting to see.
At OhioCon 2020, right before the pandemic hit, that's when I wore the Voltron there, and I actually entered into the cosplay contest. And I really didn't want to, but I thought, let's see how it goes up against, because I mean, there's some really, really good cosplayers at OhioCon, and I won a judges award, and I was ecstatic. It's even on YouTube. And it's on YouTube, where it's about, I don't know, 2 hours into it, where I come out on the stage, and my brother had to help me around backstage, and I walk up the ramp, and the guy introduces me, and he's, it goes from like a 7 to 11 with the crowd. It was just so energizing.
Nice.
You know, and I was like, oh, this is fantastic. And my brother said, I only wish I heard the crowd, but I only wish I could have seen them. And I said, well, I was up on the stage, I got all the stage lights in my eyes and sunglasses. I couldn't see the first 2 rows, but I didn't need to see anything because just that roar of the crowd was one of the best moments with that thing.
Yeah,
that's cool.
But the funny thing is kind of like to Tara's story. When I went in for judging for that, we took the pieces of the Voltron from my brother's room at the hotel from the convention center all the way to the other side is where we had to go. So I'm like, I'm not putting this thing on. I don't want it to get damaged, and we're gonna get stopped a lot. So I don't, we'll just carry it over there. So we went, carried it. Got some really cool looks from everybody, like, oh, what's this thing gonna be? And we set it up to about 20 minutes right before my judging was going to be. Now, keep in mind, from where we were to the doorway was probably about 40 feet. And as soon as I put the Voltron on, everybody started coming running. And it took me 15 minutes to go that 40 feet.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm spinning around in circles because everybody wants their pictures taken. And this was off the beaten path. And I don't know if any of you have been to the Columbus Convention Center.
Yeah.
But to go from one end of the center to the other, it takes it's about maybe a 10-minute walk. It's not much, but that's if you're just going slowly, just having a nice, enjoyable walk. It took, with my brother and I, and everybody stopping me, it took us about 50 minutes to walk from one end to the other.
Wow.
It was, and then I found out because not only that, they were having a scavenger hunt at the same time, and one of the items was get your picture taken with a robot.
There you go.
So I was like, wow, okay, this is pretty good. But the thing that made it the best was my brother's best friend was with us, and he was carrying around a rolling boom box with Bluetooth player, and he had on cycle the Voltron theme song.
That's
so
great.
I'm walking along, got the theme song going on, and I'm like, I am a nerd badass.
Nice.
I'm just like, okay, I feel pretty good, and I have a friend of mine that made some the Voltron rings, like the kind from Han Solo. It was just the 3D print. And every time we passed a Deadpool character, we gave him a ring.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was great. Just out of the blue. Be like, hey, Deadpool, cool, here's a ring.
Yeah.
And we got pictures together. It was just, we hammed it up. It was great. So much fun. But that's the kind of great thing you get. If you cosplay, you make great friends with each other because you don't know who each other is, but you see, hey, there's a Thor or there's a SpiderMan or whatever, and you're like, that's really cool. And then you can talk about each other's costumes and how they made it. And you can you even understand it because I've been there. I've been there. I know how hard that is. So it's a lot of fun. You learn a lot of different things.
It's also nice when Voltron gets mentioned in a big Spider-Man movie too.
Yes. Yeah, indeed. That's always helpful.
Yeah.
Well, that's like one of the greatest stories too, was right after the first VoltCon. My mom invited me to my hometown, and they were doing a trunk or treat for Halloween. And she said, hey, bring your Voltron up. It'd be really cool. Everybody'd love to see it. We had probably about 200 people. It was starting to snow, so they actually moved it inside of the church. And they had about 200 people come through. And there were little kids that were there, probably 5 years old, and they knew Voltron.
Nice.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, hey, you tell the dads, it's like, okay, you've raised your kids right. Whatever happens now, it's downhill. You've raised your kids right, so you'll be good. But probably what I say is the greatest story with this Voltron that I've experienced was as the night wore down from the trunk or treat. Everybody was going home, so I decided, okay, I'll take this thing off. And I kept the blue and yellow's legs on because I didn't have any shoes. But I'm walking out the front of the church to take everything out to my car, and there was a girl, must have been 10, 11, and she was at one of the seats by the door, and she's like, "Oh, I knew it." And I looked at her and was like, "Knew what?" She's like, "I knew there was somebody under that." like, yeah, you got me. There's somebody under that. And this was the greatest thing, that when because the next thing out of her mouth, she said, "Thank you." And
Aww,
like,
That's awesome.
yeah, but I was like, thank you. What did I do? I showed up in this thing. She's like, "No, you let me get to meet a character that I've always wanted to meet."
Oh,
That's
wow.
neat.
Wow.
And I just kind of went, "You're welcome," and trying to like, "Oh, right in the feels. Okay, you got it." But that was that was actually the top 3 moments. That was the top.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't top that. The second moment was probably when I first walked into the first VoltCon, like Pete was describing.
Yeah.
Get that initial shot. And then the third was on stage at the judging contest, when the whole crowd just you get it, and it's energizing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
You guys are looking forward to VoltCon next year, right?
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I already got my tickets.
Wow. Nice.
I did on the last day. I'm like, okay, I picked up the VIP already for next year, so I'm good to go. I'm waiting for them to announce the date.
Nice. So they will be announcing the dates early in 2022.
Yeah.
So that's
Probably around the same time, I'm thinking.
yeah.
Probably, yeah.
They
Right.
tried to, yeah.
Right. So we are looking forward to going back to VoltCon in 2022. And as we had mentioned on our previous podcast with Patrick and Savannah and Kevin, that 2022 is another anniversary year for Voltron, right?
Yes, it is.
Because it's the Rugger anniversary, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
Oh, wow.
40.
Mhm.
So we had Go Lion, we had Voltron Legendary Defender and Voltron Force this 2021. Now in 2022, it's going to be Die Rugger.
Yes.
40 years.
Yep.
Pretty amazing.
No, I do not have a cosplay going for the Die Rugger.
Get on it.
I don't even know how I could do that. Well,
Well,
actually,
I
making
might-
a non-transformable one probably wouldn't be as hard.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think you want to like start splitting up into 15 pieces just to make it work.
As you know, Eric,
if I
as you
could
look
make-
at that GX88,
Yeah,
all the flippity flaps and cheats they had to do on just the pelvis hip
Yeah.
vehicle alone.
yeah.
And that's not something that someone has to wear. I mean, just
Right,
imagine
exactly.
having to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would be worth it just to see Pete drool a little bit, but
That's true.
Well, Greg, you already have the plans. Just scale it up 1,000%.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the great thing about that is that if you had to sneeze, if you're wearing the costume, you could just close the face plates.
there you
and
go.
sneeze.
Built in that. Yeah. You can make the faceplate just like partially closed so it covers your mouth, and then you still see.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, in this pandemic time, yes.
Yes.
Oh goodness.
I
So-
still want to see that DDR01 mass produced at some point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
I
that
would
is
love
the
to see
most
that too.
it's the most beautiful like piece of engineering that you took what we loved about the Panoche place, but you made it look decent.
Oh
Yes,
man. Well,
yeah.
thank you. One of the things I have thought about doing is like a Panache Lion 2.0, because now that the vehicle Voltron is out of necessity, 4 or 5 inches taller than the Lion one. It'd be kind of nice to blow up that thing to a similar height and take advantage of that to make the aesthetics a little bit more spot on with the cartoon. But right now, a Voltron Force version of the robot is at the top of my priority list if I ever have any time. We'll see.
Yeah.
And that's going to be an amazing piece just because, the panels you've done on Voltron Force at VoltCon, just that whole center change, having each lion being able to become the center, it made making toys almost impossible for the tech that was out at the time.
Yeah, I mean, as I think we can all appreciate, every transforming toy of any kind has to make a lot of compromises because cartoon physics and real world physics are not one and the same.
Well, that was especially funny because Greg and I even had that conversation when I was showing him the lion statues that I made. Because when my Voltron cosplay, the Voltron looks really good and the lions are kind of they turn into the lions. We'll just leave it at that. I always like to say that the green looks like a bull terrier and the yellow and blue kind of look like Imperial Walkers from Star Wars. But when I did the lion statues, I wanted it to make the lions the premier piece. I wanted to focus on those looking the best. And even though it combines into Voltron, and I like the way it looks like Voltron, but it doesn't exactly look like Voltron. But you're always giving form for function and function for form. We have to make those decisions.
Yep.
To make the whole piece rounded out and work. You're going to make sacrifices.
Yep. So, I mean, just think of Optimus Prime in the original cartoon, where all of the tires magically disappear, and everything. and look at what Takara Tomy has been doing. They've made 3 masterpiece Optimus Primes. Each of them looks remarkably different from the previous ones, and still it's all under the ultimately hapless goal of making a perfect and cartoon accurate representation of Optimus in both modes. It can't be done. I think they've been very creative about it, but real world physics,
right?
It's just not going to jibe with hand-drawn cartoons when they just all they did was simplify the design to make it look cooler and easier to animate.
And that was my personal challenge with the Voltron is, I can make like all the other cosplays for Voltron that all look great, but they've all got the lion's legs just like the toy.
Yeah.
And I was not happy with that. I want to take it another level. If it's going to be Voltron, let's be like in the show. You can't see the lion's legs. That was one of my goals. And
you accomplished that very well.
I mean,
indeed.
And I mean, in the formation of Voltron, literally the lion's legs disappear. They disappear. There's a flash and then they're gone. So yeah.
Yep.
Now I take a little bit more than 36 seconds to transform together.
Oh man.
Yeah, we're not using a watch when we watch you transform.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, it's amazing, but even the toy upgrades that we're seeing, you can upgrade the SOC Lion Force. We were all excited to get it, but then we found out that you have to take the legs off of them to put the things on to make the upgrade kit. So it's like, even with a toy that was done that well, they still haven't even really figured it out. Maybe with the Blitzway coming out, that I think's available on the Voltron store and a few other places still.
Yeah, I have it pre-ordered.
Yeah, so do I, and it looks like it's so good. We'll have to see if they actually get all of those features built in, and if this is really like the ultimate cartoon accurate, like Voltron.
I want to get that one, but I also enjoy being married. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at. Tough road to hoe, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Blitzway, mortgage.
yeah, exactly. Happily married, darn.
Maybe that's why I'm single.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm single.
Yeah, exactly.
I get to spend money on myself and my dog.
Oh, there you go.
Are you getting a Blitzway for your dog?
I don't think he likes toys at this point. He's torn up. He's the one that destroyed my Maddie Collector Black Lion box. So he's not gonna be anywhere near those toys.
Yeah.
The Black Lion is fine. It's fine, but the box isn't.
Yeah, mine got a hold of the
Yeah.
San Diego Funko pop my friend sent me, and she's over there on the couch and they're over there on the shelf, so she knows better.
Yeah.
That's like this was from the first VoltCon, winning the cosplay contest. This was the prize they gave out, was the Funko Pop.
Mhm.
And it was really funny because when they introduced it, Savannah, she's like, "Congratulations, you have won you."
You have won you.
I loved
That's
it.
funny.
That was great.
That's funny.
Those guys go so far to make it fun
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
You can't say enough about it. I mean, because they're truly having fun, and they make it so you have fun, and then just there's just never a bad time. It's the shortest weekend of the year.
It
It
is.
really
and,
is.
And I was telling Kevin, I'm glad that somebody had the guts to step up and do this, because a bunch of us had been talking about, it'd be awesome to get like just an all VoltCon thing, like me and Mark and Tally and stuff. We were talking about this 10 years ago.
Mhm.
And they stepped up and brought it to fruition. And I mean, it's great. It's just great. And I think with what everything's been going on and it being such a small con, that it was one of the only cons that went on last year. And for us to be able to get to see each other, and I think, even though the ones that didn't make it were there in spirit, but it, being a small con and still being able to go off and with no cases, I mean, that was great. And it just was something we all really needed.
Right.
Well, and then one thing I could say, for sure is I don't think we could have had anything be put on by better people.
No.
I mean, I don't know people. I don't know anybody better than those people there. I mean, you can't even name everybody, but it's Kevin, Patrick, Savannah, Ryan, Liz. They all work so hard for it. And it's such a short weekend, and there's no way we could ever show them how much we appreciate it. I mean, obviously showing up and getting more people to show up.
Oh yeah.
I think I think the things that you brought to the con have shown your appreciation pretty well there, Eric.
Well, but that's for everybody. I mean, that's great thing. Cosplay, cosplay is not for you. It's for everybody to show off how much of a fan you are. But yet, if you can inspire one person to do it, my brother, he's making himself a Mandalorian cosplay, and and he was inspired by that. So it's if you can get one person to try it, most people say, well, I'm not going to be very good at it. Who cares? It's not about whether you're good or not. It's put something on, cover your face. Nobody knows who you are.
Mm-hmm.
When your face is covered, you're an entirely different person.
Yep.
Exactly.
Even if everybody knows who you are.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I used to do a lot of face character cosplays, so you actually see my face. But when I started doing cosplay that had masks or I wore a helmet, I tended to be more open and more interactive with people, because I hate seeing my face. I literally hate being on camera, so it's very unusual for me to be in front of a camera. But when I'm in a costume that covers my face, I'm way more like, hey, let's do things, or yeah, you can take a picture, because I don't care what I look like. I'm wearing something that's covering my face. If it brings happiness to people, I'm like, hey, go for it, Well,
that's like the Shake Ups always invite me every year now to have a cameo for one of their songs up on stage. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, go ahead, have fun. Well, just dance around a little bit. I would never do that, just being me.
Yeah.
And it is me, but it's not.
Yeah.
Where I'm out passing my sword off to other kids, letting them do whatever, and that's just fun to do. You try to get everybody involved. So it makes you wonder what like being a mascot of a college campus would be like. Just around, get everybody going. You just have all kinds of fun with it because nobody knows who you are. Yeah. So you can do whatever.
Yeah.
So we've been having a lot of fun talking about this. We could go all night.
Oh yes.
Kid you not, we could go all night, and I'd be okay with that. But I do want to wrap this up with a couple of things for the podcast. We talked a lot about VoltCon and everything, and everybody had a great time. And obviously, if you haven't gone to VoltCon yet, you should go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's cool is, the 2022 will be the 4th year. So this con is growing. There's a lot more fans than the first year and the second year. So please attend. And again, we are all family. We love to talk about Voltron. We even talk about other anime, and it's anything that's tied to Voltron. So even the old school Sentai's, even Power Rangers. We'll talk about Power Rangers because I'm a huge fan too. But I'll talk about the Sentai they originated from. If you like Robotech, we talk a lot about Robotech too, because Robotech came up around the same time as Voltron, so they're kind of tangentially tied to each other. And we can't forget the Voltron Robotech crossover that happened too. So, and Transformers had played a big part growing up too. If it's robots, we'll gladly talk to you about it. And if you're new to Voltron, welcome. We gladly accept you into our family.
Yeah.
And you have now 2 generations of fans to speak to. So pick our brains. Some of us have been it from the beginning, and some of them are being introduced because their parents were introduced to it. So yeah.
And we're always looking for weird cousins and that weird creepy uncle. So put your applications in, and we're doing interviews at VoltCon for new family members. So
there you go.
Be shy.
And you can follow VoltCon on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And through VoltCon, and also through the 8, we're celebrating the 8th anniversary here too of the Let's Voltron podcast. I've learned so much about voice actors, finding out that like Peter Cullen, Neil Ross, Michael Bell, BJ Ward, were the voices of my childhood. And, I've kind of taken it, Kyle and I are big toy collectors, and I know now I have a whole shelf of like Neil Ross characters.
Oh, neat.
So just the things you learn and, expanding beyond just Voltron and learning to even appreciate Voltron even more by learning more about it. It's just great. And I encourage everyone to, come out in 2022 and, make new friends, just have fun.
Pete, I never knew you and Kyle collected toys.
Yeah, you'd never know.
Yeah, can't tell.
Can't tell at all.
Yeah. But
and as the one newcomer in the group, I'm gonna put in, it's never too late. Seriously.
Right.
Never. No.
So I just wanted to ask you guys, is there anything you wanted to ask Greg and I about, what's going to go on with the podcast?
What is going to go on with the podcast now that we're in year number 8? What surprises
are we
do you have?
Expecting new guests? Are we going to expect some new news?
Oh, well, I have no control over the news that happens to Voltron. Okay. So I am not a part of that, but I am definitely close to some people who might know some of those things. So, we obviously are hoping about, more new Voltron coming in the future. Everybody's hopeful for that, right?
Yes.
Of course.
Huh?
Yep.
Okay.
As long as it's not Michael Bay directed.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of anxious fans out there, and there's a lot of people who are either patient or impatient. But some of these things, especially with everything that happened with COVID and the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, stretching things out over years, where people had been working on projects, and then all of a sudden COVID hit, and now they have to try to get everything back together again. I don't know if you were talking, but that film Red Notice, Red Notice that was on Netflix.
Yeah,
that had been in full production, and then COVID hit, and then everybody had to go home, and then you had to bring everybody back to do this all over again. That's expensive, and also what they realized when they brought everybody back was that they were going to have to trade out some shots that they were not planning on doing special effects on, to now they're going to be doing special effects on those shots. And they had originally like 400 shots that were going to be special effects shots, and now they had over 1,200, and that's expensive. So when you think about all that, and now Red Notice is the most watched film on Netflix ever.
Yeah.
Okay. So it can still work out. Okay. It's just, you got to give it the time it needs. So that's something we're hoping for, when it comes to Voltron, that they get the time that it needs, and then it officially gets released. So that's what we're really hoping for.
Well,
Now, I have no idea about anything right now.
I think we ought to push for certain podcasters to be a cameo in the movie if it ever comes out.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't think podcasting is a profession that they have out in space right now.
Well,
Communication officers, though.
Yeah.
But they did have mail carriers in Vehicle Voltron. Remember the physical letters that they got? So, and that was in space. So,
I will say though that when Bob was talking about the movie, and somebody mentioned how about all the attendees from VoltCon get to be in the background, and he said that's not a bad idea.
Right.
That could be a stunt double.
Yeah.
I live in LA, so if they start filming in this area, I'm like close by.
There you go.
What's that address again, Danny? I'm coming to visit.
I'll put in for the when they do a sci-fi ripoff, I'll be the Voltron for the star of when they put it together.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
I can see you
like,
doing some robot chicken stuff with your cosplay.
you
There
could,
you
There we go. I like that.
you could be in the knockoff Lion Bot movie. What do you think?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Direct to
Gotta have a
video.
diamond belt, though.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go.
There we go. I can change it. That's fine. No, whatever.
Oh gosh, Pete, Kyle, I keep seeing you guys and Danny too sometimes talking about all those variants of the knockoffs of the Popey Bondi Matchbox.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it just makes my head spin. All those different
endless.
variations. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
Yeah, see,
and
look
on
at the
top of
belt.
that, and then when
Yeah.
Nancy weighs in too,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's just like, wow. I mean, it's amazing. I see Voltron. You guys see whatever. It's that was the fifth version of the second coming of the third generation. Okay.
Well, just the one that Kyle just held up has 3 different versions of it. That,
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's the only Voltron that's been made that can do the 4 lion head attack.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was
yeah,
one
they-
of that size.
Blue and yellow.
Wow. Okay.
You got Greg doing the high notes.
Yeah, you did. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Anyway.
Yeah, here's a
there is
feature
one-
you've probably never seen before on a Voltron. Let's see here. There we go.
Yeah, see.
That's
Mhm.
neat.
my cosplay can do that. Although it's like shoe, it's just a shoe, but
Yeah, I wonder if Voltron's feet smell.
there you go. Hey, I do have to bring up one other moment about your high, Greg, with the high moment. Was when all that information got released that was on the that Tiffany brought from
Oh
Ted's.
yes, Friday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the scripts and everything,
Oh,
pictures.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kid in a candy shop for Greg. It was amazing. to
Oh
watch.
yeah, and Shannon as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was something. I would love to be asked to go to WEP studio or the WEP offices and clean their closets. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the first year of
I agree.
VoltCon, when Bob brought those 3D printed maquettes from Voltron Force
Yeah.
that were on display at San Diego
Yeah.
Comic-Con, he just brought those on a whim, thinking probably nobody's going to be interested in them, whatever. That was like the highlight of my
I
That
know.
day.
table got swarmed.
I'm
Yeah.
like, can we take a 3D scan, please? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, whose arm do I have to break to make out of here with Blue Lion?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You guys would be going into Web's offices like Indiana Jones and coming out with the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah. Road
Probably.
trip.
I think some of us might have geek caves that look kind of like the warehouse at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
I could see a couple candidates on the screen right now, maybe 2 or 3
Yeah.
people.
Them boys over
Maybe.
there.
I literally have a storage unit with just all my toys in it because there's no every one of it in my house. I mean, I have toys dating back from when I was growing up, so like the original G1 Transformers.
Wow.
But yeah, a lot of my stuff are in storage because I just don't have the room, and I'm still collecting. So, oh gosh.
Unfortunately, all my toys is I was a kid, and then I have a 13-year-old brother. So when he was born, he got them. So that not many survived.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just lucky I didn't have to have anybody younger than me take my stuff. Me and my sister are the same age, so we're good. We shared everything.
My sister and I were pretty civil with ours.
Yeah.
Again, also close in age, but at the end of the day, she wound up with all the larger stuff, the Castle of Lions, the gem play sets, if you want to go there, all that, because she has a house and I have an apartment. So, but it's all okay. I've got a few here that works for me.
So we could really use some more new Voltron stuff in 2022, definitely, couldn't we? We have room, right?
Mm-hmm. We always have room.
Can we make a little room?
Yeah, I think we could carve time from our busy schedules to watch new Voltron. Yes.
Right. So we will be on the lookout for any news coming for Voltron. We'll be on the lookout for any new merch coming for Voltron.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to be on the lookout for anybody else that we haven't interviewed yet that we can interview on the podcast.
So we have finished recording an interview that will be released after this recording. So you guys haven't heard it yet, but before this podcast is released. And we interviewed Paul Vitello from Voltron Defender of the Universe, who did the stereo sound effects.
Oh, cool.
And it was an amazing interview, very insightful to learn more about how stereo was done back in the day before standards for such things. And he was very insightful and just a blast to talk to. So
yeah, and he gave us some more insight on Peter Keefe too, which we hadn't really gotten, since he passed away back in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So, this was one of the people that worked very closely with him, even after all of the Voltron stuff was done, many, many years.
Right.
Yeah, he maintained a very close friendship with Peter Keefe from beginning around the time of Voltron up until Peter's passing. So pretty neat to hear.
Yep. We're also looking forward to doing more episode reviews in 2022. So we're still continuing on with the Voltron Force.
Yeah, maybe we'll finish it next year. Who knows?
So is there anything in particular?
Last on the shows. Your guys' reviews of it make the seasons longer, so it makes the show longer.
Is there anything in particular you guys would want to see on the podcast?
What haven't you covered?
Toy reviews.
Yeah.
Toy reviews.
Thinking the Blitzway with that coming out, talking to some people who were involved with designing the Blitzway or others that are coming out.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. It's tough to track down people who design merchandise. I have been trying on and off for years to try to find people who worked, for example, at Panache Place back in the day. I had interviewed, actually way before the podcast, I did find the contact info for, I'm going to forget her name, Allison, what is her name? She developed the Blythe dolls in the 1970s. She passed away fairly recently, but she was the sculptor of most of the Voltron Force pilot action figures from Panache Place when she was working at Marvin Glass and Associates in Chicago. I had a great phone conversation with her many years ago. Did not record it, unfortunately, but that was fun. It's in general, very hard to track down people who work on merchandise, past or present.
Yeah.
But that would be a blast.
I had tried recently to contact somebody from either Blitzway or 5 Pro or Carbotics, to try to get that going, and haven't heard anything back. Back when the Sideshow Collectibles Voltron came out, the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried several times through all of their marketing people to try to get something going, and we never got it going.
I think it'd be interesting to see about how many times when they go to design a toy, how many designs they have to go through. Like,
Yeah.
how many steps does it take to fail before you finally get that one moment?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Toy design is amazing for so many reasons, especially now in the data warehouse driven retail industry that we live in today. I mean, if you ever look around in the Barbie section of the toy departments these days and look at how many of their little play environments for Barbie are so ridiculously shallow because they've got to fit so many units in a shipping box or so many units in a certain amount of foot space in a store display. And when you're aware that those kinds of displays, those planograms are done, you can kind of see, oh, I see why they made those design choices. It's really weird. Real quick, the lady I was speaking of, her name was Allison Katzman. She passed away last year in 2020, but she had invented the Blythe dolls, which are very popular in Japan, I'm told, to this day. But she also sculpted most of the Voltron Force pilots from Panache Place. So there you go.
Wow. I'd have to say the best situation that we had was with Lego, and it was because we had Lendy Tyag on the podcast a few times. Even before it was released. And then the Lego people actually reached out to us and invited us to come to their booth at San Diego Comic-Con. And we had an interview with the designer and, the program director and everything. And we were doing it right at the booth and everything. So it was amazing. It was just amazing the way Lego handled the whole thing. We were very impressed.
That's cool.
I know for me, I have so many Voltrons. I'd love to see some sort of HasLab for a Robeast or for a line of pilots. So we have something different than just, companies keep re-releasing the same Lion Force robot. We haven't had a good Robeast. We haven't had We've had a few lines of figures, but even the VLD ones didn't get finished. I love the Maddie collector figures, but I would love to have like a Zarkon and Hagar from that.
Hagar.
A properly scaled Zarkon would be amazing. When you see him fighting Lotor in Defender of the Universe, the guy, a figure in 3 3/4 inch scale would probably be about as tall as a Mego doll,
Yeah.
Right. So we would definitely want more of the characters, and then more of the characters that we didn't see in the previous releases. So Robeasts, villains,
Koran.
Yeah, exactly.
Koran, Nanny.
Yeah, all
Space Mice.
I want the Space Mice robot.
Yeah,
a new update on the Castle of Lions, where you can actually put the figures in the tunnel that they can go slide down to their shuttles to go to the Lions.
Yeah, that would be one heck of a big castle playset.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you want to wish.
I blocked out a Stellar Ship Explorer in my head and some doodles that would be scaled with my Panache Place Voltron Force, the vehicle Voltron thing. And just to accommodate one of the 3 teams where the vehicles move around that spindle in the hangar, the thing would just be huge. And blowing it up and thinking about it lengthwise, just ridiculous. But fun to
have another USS Flag.
There you go.
Yeah.
It'd be about that big.
Yeah.
We're really looking forward to 2022, especially for VoltCon towards the end of 2022 in October. But we're just looking for any kind of new things that are coming out for Voltron in 2022. It would be really special. Yep. And of course, we want to thank you guys for joining us on Let's Voltron, the official Voltron podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Indeed. Thanks very much.
It's always fun hanging out with you guys.
It is.
And I wanna extend a good thank you to Pete for getting me my replacement. Thanks to my work, losing my original, he was able to get this together for me. So thank you, Pete.
Well done.
You're very welcome.
Awesome,
Danny
Pete.
was happy to do it.
Pete's the underground Voltron guy.
Yeah. But no, thank you to all of you guys, because I'm a little island girl that never would think to that I be here with amongst other Voltron fans and enjoying and celebrating everything that's Voltron. So toys, the media, everything, and the podcast. You know, without your podcast, I wouldn't have known about Voltron Force or Voltron Legendary Defender. So it worked out. So I mean, everything came together, and it's with you guys. I have another family that I can enjoy this series with.
Cool.
I have to come up right behind that too. When I started my interest as a teenager, I had no idea what would open up for me over the next 35 years, let alone even the last 25. And I'd worked professionally a lot in animation, but my life had taken some twists, and I never, at that point, thought I was going to get back anywhere near anything. And with Mark and Greg reaching out to me, not only did I come back to something I love through this podcast, as I said earlier, I came to meet other people with the same interests, and getting to meet so many of you listeners, as well as the people I'm talking to right now, this year alone has been so encouraging for me. And I can't thank all of you enough for being part of my life. That really is special to me. All of you.
Thank
Happy
you
to be here.
for the kind words. And the feeling is mutual for each and every one of you. Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for all you guys do.
No problem.
I'm gonna cry.
And I want to, I know, just real quick, I want to welcome Eric to the Voltron podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, because this
Yes.
is his first time, and I'm glad to finally he got to get on and hang out with us.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we are going to have you back on sometime, Eric, to talk specifically about your creations. We spoke a bit about them just now, but yeah, we'll have you back.
Yeah, what a lot of you guys didn't hear was when I gave the Volcomps to Mark and Greg. I said, you know, we might consider this a little bribe, maybe, you know, to get
Yeah, you did, because I was sitting at the table.
Yeah.
I was like, no, he does. I don't think they need that. You perfect. Yeah, have him back. Have him back.
It's, you know, just knowing everybody. I mean, it's fantastic. You know, I can't see you guys every day, but it doesn't mean I don't think about you guys every day. It's, you see something and be like, man, I bet Tara would love that, or oh, I wonder how many of those Pete has, or you know, it's just, you know, you got to think about it. And you know, that's the great thing about this con. I mean, it brought all of us together.
Yeah.
And that was another reason with the memorial that I made for Ted, is without him we wouldn't be together.
No.
Indeed.
That's
you know, that was, you know, that's the words that I wanted to put into that without being able to say it. And hopefully that expressed that. I think it did. But you know, having everybody sign it was the other reason to tell Bob that, hey, you know, we're here because of you. This is you are us and we are you.
Better words were never spoken about that topic. That is awesome. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
So we'll see you all next time on
Let's Voltron.